Welcome into the 2-Minute Morning Browns post-game show. Mikey McNuggets, Earl the Pearl, G. Bush will be joining us here any minute. He's been texting us all afternoon, Earl, and of course he knows when we start. It's at the 2-minute warning, and he is nowhere to be found. We were about to get, at least we thought we were going to get, a Shedeur Sanders tie game / down by 1 2-minute drive here to potentially end the game, but as it stands, they have put in Tyler Huntley instead, meaning we will not get that opportunity. Huntley just threw a pick. It was called back for defensive holding, so he will get another shot now to run the 2-minute drill, Earl. But let's start in chronological order. We saw all three quarterbacks play. We'll get to Shedeur, we'll get to Dillon, but real quick, Joe Flacco played slightly more than a quarter, 9 of 10, threw a touchdown pass at 129 quarterback rating. What did you make of Joe Flacco's performance?
I thought he was efficient. I thought he handled his business. First pass to Jerry Jeudy was kind of low, but outside of that, he rattled off 9 straight completions, led the Cleveland Browns down on a touchdown drive. So I thought Joe was steady. I thought he was cool, Joe, and I thought he was efficient in his time. I thought when he spoke to Aditi after the fact, he talked about, it was good that he got the opportunity to play and how he wanted those reps and things like that. So I thought, not too much to make out of it. I thought he looked good. Led the Browns down there on the touchdown drive. So I thought he was solid.
G, we're going to go in chronological order here. We're starting with Joe Flacco. What'd you make of QB1's performance today?
Oh, listen, I liked what he did. I thought Joe Flacco was crisp. I thought, he had a couple of throws. I think he had some good timing on the on the screenplay. I thought they did a pretty good job of him showing his levels to it. You can't ask for you to be more crisp at 9 and 10. Got a touchdown on the board. Nice throw to Harold Fanning Jr. Shout out to him. I know that was special for him being from the area, getting his first touchdown in front of the dog pound. So that was a dope opportunity for him. I thought Joe came in to look crisp for the most part, and the passing game looked solid. I was a little disappointed in the run game a little bit, but we'll get to that later on. But I thought Joe Flacco did a good job.
So I was at Brown Stadium for the first half of the game. So I saw Joe Flacco. I had really good seats. Shout out to KYC for having the raffle. Flacco looks incredibly slow just in his dropbacks, G. And I don't know if it comes across on the TV. I'll be something to keep an eye on. But he was efficient, threw the ball really well. The ball flies out of his hand. That touchdown pass to Fannin was about as good as you can throw a ball. And shout out to Fannin, by the way, tight end who was lined up at a receiver position on the outside, got inside leverage, and did a good job protecting his body. Flacco did not throw a hospital ball. Those are kind of the routes where you can get your receiver killed if it's not a perfectly thrown ball. So I thought Flacco passed the test, did what he needed to do. Let's go to the next quarterback who came in. Dillon Gabriel was the second quarterback for the Browns, led him on a couple of drives. He did not execute properly in the red zone on his first drive. I thought he could have scrambled. Instead, he tried to throw it in. Ended up being a little low and incomplete to Jamari Thrash. He did get a chance to run the 2-minute drill. I believe he was 8 of 11 for 86 yards and a touchdown on that 2-minute drill through a couple really nice passes. What did you make of Dillon Gabriel's performance today, G? We saw just less than a quarter from number 5.
I liked what he did in that second drive. I thought he had a good opportunity to run that 2-minute drill. I thought he did a really nice job of working the sidelines on that 2-minute drill. He was hitting the out routes. There was a couple times that he snuck a few balls in there. Joe mentioned that he was like, hey, switch that up a little bit. But for the most part, I even said on Twitter, there was that deep corner route that set him up for the touchdown. I thought that was pinpoint. I thought that was on the money. I also thought he did a good job of working his progressions, made it back to this third or fourth read. Found I think it was that Larvadan in the corner. That for that touchdown, moved around. So shout out, listen, good for him. I thought that was cool to see him get his first touchdown on the board. Thought that he was very quick in getting the ball out. And what you want to do in a 2-minute drill, you want to get points on the board. Last week it was a field goal he got. This week was a touchdown. So definitely saw some improvements with that. I thought he had a really nice drive on that point and a really nice. I thought he would definitely improve for the first week. This week I saw more.
Yeah, I echo that. I kind of thought Dillon played much better this game than he did last game. The first drive he was 3 for 8, 43 yards, 1 for 1 on third down. I thought the first drive in particular was a bit of a mixed bag from Dillon, but he still led the Cleveland Browns on a field goal drive. And then you get your second opportunity, with a 2-minute warning situation. And he was 9 for 11 for 86 yards. He, operated solid from the shotgun. I thought he was quick. I thought he was on time with his decision making, and he was very efficient. And he threw a touchdown pass. He just seemed to me to be more under control than he was in his last start. He seemed to me to be more fluid, more efficient, and just seemed like he wasn't like that, like he just seemed like more settled in everything that he was doing. I thought that 2-minute drive was a nice way to bounce back from a subpar first drive, even though he ran the, even though he kind of let us down there on a field goal drive. But to come down there in that situation, I thought it was good situational football right before the half. And again, quick decision making, very efficient. Every single pass he attempted during that 2-minute drill was out of the shotgun. It seems like two things to me. He's clearly very, very comfortable out of the gun, and he's very, very comfortable throwing that quick out route.
So I think Dillon Gabriel is kind of built for 2-minute drills, G, because he throws a really nice out ball, really nice out route. And we've talked about this before. He's small. And in person, seeing him in a huddle alongside the 6'5", 6'6" offensive lineman, it's noticeable. It looks like him and Dylan Sampson are playing a different sport. But when you throw the ball and have an arm like he does, you can get away with it. And in the 2-minute drill, when you're trying to work the sidelines to get guys out of bounds, to stop the clock, etc., I think it plays into what he does best. You're essentially trying to avoid the middle of the field at all costs, G. And Earl, you're playing up those out routes, those deep comebacks, which is what Dillon throws well. Now, he did have one on that 2-minute drill where he tried to come across the middle on a deep dig to Gage LeVerdin, and he almost got 84 killed. Like, that was a hospital ball. We talk about when he misses high quite a bit. And when you miss high on a receiver coming across the middle, that is not how you make good relationships with your receiver.
And that ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage too.
Yes.
I remember Joe saying that on a broadcast. So like Mike, you've been kind of pointing that out a lot, that when he does miss, he misses high. And you did see the tip pass finally show up, but of that whole drive, like you said, it was about 2 throws there that you kind of wish he would have back. The first drive, he probably could have scrambled, but overall, I thought it was a much more efficient performance in his second stint of action for Dillon Gabriel.
He looked so much more comfortable in the pocket. And the one thing we've heard, and I'm going to say something that everyone's going to get mad at, but we've heard it a million times. He's that supercomputer, right? Like, he processes everything. Well, it looked like in the first game he played against Philadelphia, at times when he was trying to go through his progressions, he got choppy feet. He didn't look comfortable in the pocket. He wasn't trusting his eyes. Today, G, I thought he looked pretty damn comfortable in going through his progressions, finding if his first receiver wasn't there, working his way to his second and third read. And it's preseason. Take everything good and bad with a grain of salt. This is not the end-all, be-all for Joe, for Dillon, for Shedeur, for Tyler Huntley, who's leading them on a nice little comeback drive right now. But I thought he looked good today. I was impressed by Gabriel. I'm not going to lie.
I put it like this. I would listen just on first watch. I'm deciding between, I got him at a B+ or A-. I don't know which one I'm gonna go with right now, but I would probably have to run him back. But he's well in that area. Just on the throw in the corner, that was a nice tight throw, and I put a premium on trying to get points on the board. So that's where I would have him just on first watch.
Yeah, I was about to say, you coming off of week 1 where I felt like he was responsible for both of those turnovers. And then essentially for the most part, you played a very, very clean football game. To me, I'm going to always take points off the board when you turn the football over, because again, turnovers can lead to very, very bad things. And today he just came out and he was efficient. Again, first drive, bit of a mixed bag, 3 for 8, 43 yards. It wasn't nothing impressive, but you come out there playing situational football with a 2-minute drill in that second drive. And then he just, like I said, the decision-making was very quick. I think he understood what he needed to do, where he needed to go with the football. He was just fast. He was efficient, getting the ball downfield. I thought Kevin Stefanski did a great job of making sure he stayed in the shotgun to keep him comfortable, just to see what he can do and, how he can execute that. And so to me, you see a lot of good from Dillon Gabriel. You also see where his strengths are, but I would just warn that, if we get closer to the season, or we're in a situation to where he's thrown in there and he has to play, I think like he's put enough on film to where teams are going to say, okay, these are his tendencies and this is where he's strong at. So if we take this away from him, what can he do next on the next level? And I think that he's done enough to where I'm encouraged that once more is added to his plate, that he'd be okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the only short quarterback in football. You see Bryce Young has the same issues thrown across the middle. Kyler Murray, it was a little knock on Russell Wilson. Last thing on Gabriel, then we'll move on to Shedeur. They ran a play, G and Earl, where they sent Caden Davis in motion to the left. Then they had him sprint back across the line of scrimmage or behind the quarterback. As they snapped the ball, they did a straight into a rollout where he dumped it off to the running back in the flat who was wide open.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we asked over the course of this show for Kevin Stefanski to manipulate the defense to give his quarterbacks easier completions? And that was a throw that I genuinely believe I could have made. Like it was that open. It was a really, really, really good design play by Stefanski.
I liked it.
I'm encouraged that maybe, and I know that's not necessarily Flacco's game per se, but like maybe we are going to see a little more stuff from the Stefanski. By the way, as Andre Schmidt kicks the game-winning field goal, the Browns finish the preseason undefeated. They win 19-17. We'll talk about Dustin Hopkins at the very end too, because we got some kicking issues. But my point is,
did Dustin Hopkins kick make that?
No, Schmidt did. Schmidt kicked it. So I'll just say this: I liked the creativity, and it was a little wrinkle to the Stefanski offense we hadn't seen yet. So, with that being said, guys, let's get to the third quarterback we saw today. That was Shedeur Sanders. His stat line reads like this: 3 of 6, 14 yards. He was sacked 5 times. Offensive line was left a lot to be desired. Let's just leave it at that. But Earl, I'll let you go first on this one. What'd you make of Shedeur's performance today against the Los Angeles Rams?
I thought Shedeur's performance was a bit tough to evaluate because I didn't think he really got many opportunities to really show what he can do. When the Cleveland Browns offense came out in the second half, it just seemed stagnant. It seemed stale. It just seemed like it was uninspired, throughout the game. I think at one point, in the middle of the third quarter, the Browns had 2 total yards of offense. And we talk about Kevin Stefanski's game being, relying on a rushing attack and then play action pass. And, I thought he did what he could to put Shedeur Sanders in situations to get him comfortable. But the offensive line was a mess. If you listen to the broadcast, Joe Thomas kind of alluded to a few situations to where he thought Shedeur Sanders could have stepped up in the pocket to avoid some of those sacks. I kind of disagree with Joe just a little bit. I mean, I felt like if you watch it in real time, and of course, I'll go back and watch the game again. But, 72 was getting beat like he stole something every single time Shedeur dropped back to throw the ball. On a few of those sacks, I will say you got to throw the ball away. Yeah. Like you can't take those type of sacks when you lose 24 yards, for example, on a drop back and things like that. But it just seemed like he didn't really get many opportunities to show what he could do. You can tell he was visually frustrated, and I felt like his last drive he had probably like a drop back or two to where I kind of thought he pressed a little bit only because he wanted to make a play and he was trying to make the most of the opportunities because he was watching the clock like we was. He knew the preseason was coming to the end, and these opportunities to really display what he could do, was coming to an end as well. But I thought it was very stagnant, very uninspiring, but not just from Shedeur, just from totality of the situation. The offensive line was not good. He had no running game to really kind of help him get into rhythm. Of the 3 and 6, one of those was a drop pass. So just overall, I thought the Cleveland Browns came out in the second half, not with the same type of energy that they went into the locker room with.
G?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I would say. And the first one that I will say is because if Coach Prime was here and Coach Prime was talking, Coach Prime would say, hey, listen, hold your head up. I want to see the energy. I want to see the energy level different. I want to see that body language different. When you out there, if you in a tough situation, we still want your body language to say leadership. We want your body language to say, hey, we need to continue to inspire these guys, even though we might be out there with 4s and 5s or where we at. I want to see you keep your head up. I want to see the body language, right? Obviously, he was pressing after with the pressure and different things like that. But as a critique, I want you to hold yourself to a higher standard and Shedeur will tell you that. In coaching staff will tell you that. it ain't gonna go all the way right all the time. You ain't gonna have the level of blocking that you need to have a lot of times. Sometimes people gonna drop the ball, but you still need that opportunity to go out there and have the teammates feel like, yo, this play is the next play. And I thought in that moment, he was pressing, and you could see the frustration level. So let's get to that critique overall is something that I think even Coach Prime will tell him. But in terms
100%.
So in terms of what I saw, look, we came into the game and we said it like this, and we're gonna have a good opportunity to see what type of energy people got, right? So when he played well, we said temper our expectations and thoughts, correct? We said that if he would have came out there and struggled, he's a rookie, blah blah blah, just temper their expectations. So now we're gonna see if you get to a place and you're going to give that same grace that we gave last week, right? We say temper your expectation. This is a learning piece. This is a learning game. All the above, letter D. I don't think Shedeur Sanders played a horrific game. I don't think he played up to his best standards. I do think that he got frustrated a little bit. But in terms of the competition that he's playing with, I mean, he's playing with 4s and 5s, people. He's playing with receivers with number 31. Like, at the end of the day, if we're going to evaluate it, either you're going to evaluate him as a 5th-round pick, like y'all like to say, or you're going to evaluate him based on what everybody else is doing and who they playing with. Because when other people are playing with 1s, it looks great, right? When other people is playing with 2s, it looks great, right? When you do have your second receivers and the Jamari Thrashes and whoever you got in the game, it's a different type of energy. So did it look great today? No. But at the end of the day, you also have to take it in totality. Who you're playing with, who are the guys that are playing, and who are guys are in the game. And at the end of the day, when you look at the offensive line play, don't take my word for it. Joe Thomas said they weren't blocking. So you can just say G. Bush is biased. You got to call Joe Thomas biased, and he happens to be a Hall of Famer. He said, hey, the running game was not working. The passing game was not working. And when you're in the game trying to put points on the board, yes, you're going to have to hold the ball a little bit longer. I will say some of them, a couple of those sacks, he can't get rid of the ball. There's 1 or 2 plays where after you're battling and fighting, throw it away. It's the same thing I told Dillon Gabriel, throw it away.
Yeah,
you got to live to fight another day. And sometimes, especially when you do got an oblique injury, you can't be running around with cats all the time. So that's one of the things. Throw it away.
Yeah, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. He didn't play well. The entire offense played poorly in the second half. It's not all his fault. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was atrocious in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and he was running around like a chicken without his head because his offensive line couldn't block. When the rest of your offense isn't up to par, the quarterback's going to look worse, but it doesn't excuse the fact that I thought he held onto the ball too long. Joe Thomas alluded to his drifting natures and tendencies, which I thought kind of showed a little bit. Earl, I got to watch it back on the All-22 to see if he could have stepped up or not. I'm going to default to Joe on this one because he has the bird's eye angle from the broadcast booth as opposed to us watching on TV. Not going to kill him for it. You're right, G. He does have to just throw the ball away sometimes. He's going to get himself killed more than anything else by trying to keep running around in circles like that. He took a couple big hits. I'm hoping the reason he didn't come out for that last 2-minute drive was his oblique injury had flared up and not something else, because to me, it makes no sense why you wouldn't put him back out there for that 2-minute drive as opposed to Tyler Huntley. Like, what are we learning about Tyler Huntley in that 2-minute situation? But the whole offense in the second half was an abomination. All the creative, all the stuff that I liked in the first half.
It just seemed like the energy went away. It seemed like,
yeah.
It just seemed like everything that you kind of came into the start of the game with, when the Browns came out in the second half, it would just seem like, all right, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Like, and that's just legit how it looked. It didn't seem like
it's how, by the way, it's how it felt in the stadium. For the record, as someone who was there, Earl, it's how it felt in the stadium.
Well, listen, guys, that's so we talk about this all the time. That's the way it is when you're getting to the back of the game. When you've want them plays, I got 8 to 10 scripted for Joe. He better look good. When Dillon come in, I got 8 to 10 scripted. We need to score. And I thought also it so happened that Dillon got an opportunity to run the 2-minute offense, right? Yeah. And when he got in with the 2-minute offense, now you're in rhythm. You're getting back there. You're in shotgun. You're doing some things. So he caught the rhythm. And like I said, I got him in a B plus A minus. So that has nothing to do with my evaluation of Shedeur Sanders. When you look at it, by the time you get to the 4s and 5s, man, and I played where I've been a 1 sitting there drinking Kool-Aid, or I've been a 4 and 5 in the game. It's just different levels of the attention and detail.
Can I ask you a question real quick on that though? And I don't know. I'm not trying to start. I'm genuinely asking a question. Wasn't this the same offensive line that he was playing behind against Carolina after those first couple drives?
Yes, but here's the thing. When you're a bad player, like bad players have a variance, right? It's not like that's why they're 4s or 5s. It's the consistency level, right?
Yeah.
You could put up buckets with you can have a nice drive and do some different things. But when you play in a different team and a different skill set, it's variance to it. So you can't ask for those players to be lights out because they're 4s or 5s or a reason. So that's just is what it is.
I could get with a 4 or 5 having a bad game, but when you are 4 or 5 and you are fighting like hell for a roster spot and you trying to make this team, to Mike's point, there's a level of energy that I would assume, a backup player knowing that you're going to play most, if not all of the second half will come out that locker room with. And that didn't happen. And so like, GE, I hear you. When you get to dealing with 4s and 5s, there's a lot of inconsistencies there when you're talking about in terms of the level of play. But there's got to be an attitude and an energy level that's associated with that. And these are young men that's trying to make this roster or another NFL roster. And this is week 3 of the preseason. I get it. It's the back end. Everybody tired. That open week is coming before you get to the regular season. But I'm curious to know how many of the GMs are going to watch little things like that, how people that's 4th and 5th string on the roster went into halftime, came out of halftime, and how they executed, knowing that, like, this is it pretty much.
Yeah, listen, it's just disappointing because we had such high expectations. We wanted to see these 2 young quarterbacks go out and face a common opponent and hopefully have as close of a 1v1 comparison as you can get. And we didn't get that today for 352 different reasons. I wish Shedeur made some plays. I don't know what plays were to be made. Like, it's hard to evaluate in real time watching on the TV broadcast.
You're right.
Is anyone open downfield? Because you're only watching him running like a chicken without his head because the offensive line couldn't stop a nosebleed. Like, it's really hard in the initial view until you get that bird's eye angle to see, were there guys open? Was he late on reads? Was there any chance for him to make a play, or was it a dead play from the get-go? Those are the things that we're going to have to come back on Monday and have a better idea of. But, he had 3 completions and 5 sacks. Like, it's hard to spin any positive out of that, even if I don't think it's all his fault. And I think the entire offense was an absolute catastrophe in the second half.
Yeah, like, listen, I always look at it like this, man. If he played well, right, and this is the thing people talk about, and when we talk about goalposts and how things move, right? All last week we talked about Dillon Gabriel's 2 turnovers, right? They made it away where those 2 turnovers weren't significant. Dillon Gabriel still played well. Shedeur Sanders had 2 touchdowns. They made it away where that wasn't significant because even after he played well, he was still 4th string. So if we're sitting here and he played well one week and he didn't play well this week and he's still 4th string, then what are we talking about? At the end of the day, you're talking about a player that has not received first-team reps, a person that I went to practice. I mean, it's not as if he was getting reps with 1s or 2s the whole practice, the whole year. No. So if you want to do victory laps on somebody playing with the 4s and 5s and they don't look good because, they didn't have much protection and they held the ball too long, well, there you have it at the end of the day. But let's just be honest with you. Like, it's not a 1v1 opportunity. Like, if it's 1v1, if you're going to say, I'm going to give him 50 reps with the 1s, I'm going to give him 50 reps with the 1s. We'll see who develops. We'll see who gets the chemistry. We'll see who plays well, and we'll go at it. The Cleveland Browns have said that's not what they're doing. They view Shedeur Sanders as a project, and they view Dillon Gabriel as somebody that they want to play and start. Dillon looked good today, but it's not an apples-to-apples comparison when it comes to opportunity and whatever the case may be. It's just be honest.
It never was. And I spoke to this on the radio today. I think Kevin Stefanski made a grave error in communication when you said that this was a quarterback competition, because in my mind and my heart, I know whatever narrative has been pushed about Kenny Pickett among others, but somewhere in my mind, I believe that Kevin Stefanski was going to always go with Joe Flacco as the starting quarterback of this team. And then when you look at the rep share of the rookies, for example, it makes you wonder if they were even competing to be quarterback 3, because the rep share was not equal. And we're talking about a front office and a coaching staff that is driven on analytics, right? We know that everything has a number game as far as their end game, as when they go about their business. And to G's point, if this was a true quarterback competition, then you would have made sure each rookie quarterback got the same amount of reps with each said unit. And to me, when you just go throughout training camp and you look how everything took place, Joe Flacco never really took many reps at all. And that tells me, okay, this is not a competition. He's not taking reps because he's the quarterback. Kenny Pickett was being force-fed reps because he's a veteran quarterback that's a former first-round pick, and you assume it's something there. And then you got your 2 rookie quarterbacks to where it seemed like one was just left to pick up the scraps, and you had somewhat of a plan, a concept of a plan for one of the rookies, but it was never apples to apples. And I think overall, when it comes to the 4 quarterbacks, I don't believe in my heart it was ever a competition. I think Joe being named the starter is exactly how it was going to play out to begin with. And Kenny Pickett making this roster and being quarterback 2, even if he didn't play a damn snap in the preseason, was going to turn out to be just what it is anyway. So I think it was just a grave error in communication from the beginning to the end of this whole situation.
Yeah, the biggest lie Kevin Stefanski ever told us was this was an open 4-way quarterback competition. What he should have said is all 4 quarterbacks are going to have a chance to compete, because that's technically what they did, but it was never an actual competition. Shedeur and Dillon never had a chance to outduel the 2 veterans in practice. It was evidently clear by all the things, not that Stefanski said, but that he did. Jason says this all the time. You have to follow their actions, not their words sometimes. And Shedeur, despite what he did against Carolina, never got bumped up and had an opportunity to get more reps. It was always Pickett, despite the fact he didn't play at all in the preseason, is probably going to be on this roster, is probably going to be their backup. And that tells me if it's a competition, then he didn't compete. So how is he? It was never a competition. Stefanski lied to us. And as the head coach of a team, he has every right to lie to us. The media gets lied to by coaches and executives all the time, G. But this whole notion that it was an open 4-man competition could not have been further from the truth.
It's like, okay, listen, there's a level. I heard Darryl Ryder this morning. Darryl Ryder came on and he said, well, it doesn't matter what Shedeur does in this game anyway. He can throw for 400 yards in this game. He's still going to be 4th on the depth chart. So, like,
and he's right. He's right, by the way. He's right.
He's right. Like, so, like, people are saying, like, if this is what you are taking to be like, oh, he's garbage. Well, you're going to take that and run and say he's garbage. But I didn't see what you were saying the first week. And, particularly somebody didn't play well last. It's a thing where we move and we make how we want to make it, right? If anybody, if anything, how is Kenny Pickett even in contention? How is he a backup quarterback? It has not practiced.
But G, Mike, here's to take it a step further. So Andrew Berry was in the booth with Chris Rose and Joe Thomas during the third quarter. And when he was asked about it, he said, and I quote, as far as the Browns keeping 4 quarterbacks, not much of a decision for us. All have done what we've asked them to do. And that's counterproductive to what Kevin said. How has everybody done what you asked him to do when Kevin said they was going to compete when one quarterback was never given the opportunity to compete? As far as the Shedeur Sanders point of it, man, if you want to take a victory lap thinking Shedeur sucked because the game today didn't go, quite as some expected to, okay, cool. But again, I go back to some things that Andrew Berry talked about. And he said it was 2 things on Shedeur Sanders that stood out to him, that going from the language that he used or that was spoken, in college at Colorado, transferring that to the NFL, it was like speaking English fluidly and then somebody asking you to speak Mandarin fluidly. And so that went back to what I've always felt like. Whoever put this narrative out here that Shedeur Sanders was dumb or that he couldn't process and he didn't understand what was going on the football field. I thought they failed to clarify and articulate that point. It seems like to me, based on the general manager words, is the terminology is totally different from what Shedeur Sanders is used to. And that is one of the things that they're asking him to improve on. But people were out here saying that he didn't know the playbook and he couldn't really execute the play. That's not true. It's just the language is different from what he's used to, and he's learning that. The second thing Andrew Berry said is that he learned that he was mentally and physically tough. Mentally tough. We all know the situation that has taken place from the time he was drafted until now, right? Physically tough. He suffered an oblique injury last week, missed that game. Andrew Berry gave him a nod to, he did whatever he had to do to get himself ready to compete and go out there and play in this game. And so, I feel like Andrew Berry is proud of the progression that he's seen from Shedeur Sanders from April to now. And we'll see it. Well, we won't see it, but the Browns will get a front row seat, of the things that he's doing behind the scenes as we get throughout the regular season.
All right, we got 30 super chats, so let's get to them. We appreciate everyone who sends us in super chats. The first one is Patrick Williams, who says Stefanski clearly set up Shedeur to fail. No O-lineman blocked for Shedeur. Real quick, could we just squash the notion that the Browns intentionally told offensive linemen don't block? Jimmy played. Will you just squash that, please?
That don't happen. They ain't not going. But what can happen is you can just be bad. Yeah. You just not good. When you're not good, you give up pressures against good people, bad people, medium people. I don't think. But it looks like that because you're just not good up front, especially when you're playing with guys that won't be on rosters next week.
Next one comes from Irv. They think DG's better. Please just cut Shedeur. Chris Lowry says Sanders looks like he wasn't healthy and was playing with subpar talent. The injury certainly could have played a part in it today. Absolutely could have played a part in it. We, credit to him for playing through injury.
He won't. I will tell you
never
this.
Talk about it.
He wouldn't. He's not going to say that.
Yeah.
I'll just put it to you like that. He's not going to say that. He's going to say I was available to play. I need to play better. That's what he's going to say. So
next one comes from Patrick Williams. Stefanski had Shedeur out there with the 10 stringers. All those guys in the field are getting cut.
Now that might be truthful.
Well, it is worth mentioning the Rams only dressed 48 players today. So they started a quarterback named Dresser Wynn, who I've never heard of in my life. Not even from college. They played their 5th and 6th stringers today. They sat anyone who's going to be on their actual team did not play for LA. So I don't even know why they frankly played this game. If LA was going to put out people like that and no joint practice, it was a whole weird situation. Damian Frederick says, I know it was versus backups, but Aiden Huntington, certified baller. Schlesinger was all over the field, even lined up at DT. 91-57 looked good. The defense should be fun. Let's give 66, Aiden Huntington, a shout out real quick. Offense, defense, and special teams. I think he's a lock, guys. I think he's a lock to make the 53.
Yeah, for sure. He had 1.5 sacks, man. Yeah. He was disruptive. You talk about the Browns defense early on because I seen McGuire's name in there. I thought Alex Wright and Isaiah McGuire both played phenomenal. Carson Schlesinger, man. Andrew Berry said, this dude seemed like a 5-year pro already coming out of college, already ready to wear the green dot. You see him had that big quarterback pressure on that 3rd and 6 and that first defensive drive for the Cleveland Browns. I thought that first unit from the Browns defense played good. Mason Graham was around the ball, but 66 is a certified baller. I see why now the Browns moved on from Briggs. It makes sense now. It all makes sense now.
Well, let me tell you this. So we're going to transition very quickly into football talk because the quarterback carousel conversation will be over. People will have a pecking order, and you
Wednesday.
can really
it's done on Wednesday.
It's done. So now you're gonna have to really get to reality, which is how did the Cleveland Browns win football games? They showed me that the best part of their football team is defense, which we know, the defensive line, which we know, Schlesinger, which we know, but the kicking game, that field goal game, and that special teams, that's going to cost them 2 to 3 games that they could win.
I would cut Hopkins right now, G. I'm serious. I would cut him right now. I trust Schmidt more. I have negative faith in Dustin Hopkins.
I think he's going to miss every time he steps on the field.
Yes. And Schmidt made a 61-yarder in pregame, and I was like, I need that guy.
Yeah.
I need that guy. All right, Jimmy Cleveland's our next super chat said, they gave everyone protection except Shedeur, didn't give any dinks and dunks. Everything was downfield without protection. And 72 is the same one that got him sacked last time. Electric Cornbread said, Why Flacco and Kenny surround Dillon on the sidelines when he struggled, but Shedeur was by himself, or only Huntley was around when he struggled?
At that point, let me tell you how it works. At that point in time, when the second half comes, guys really ain't paying attention to the game like that. Like they're not. They're just that's human nature. Guys ain't paying no attention to it because they out of the game. That's why coaches make certain guys dress and put gear on. If it's dudes that's in helmets and no shoulder pads, they out there hanging around, posted up. They're not dialed in like that. It's a preseason game. Veterans don't do that. So that's why I was critical saying he has to show when things is going down. He can't show body language that shows that.
Next one, Miss Bell says the O-line for Sanders was trash, not worth it. Get out. Patrick Williams said, please let Shedeur go. Management don't want him. I'm assuming that's what it means. Morning Coffee says, no protection, no sideline phone conversations like DG, not coached up on the sideline like DG, trade 12. Oshi, what's up, Oshi?
Shout out to Oshi.
Our guy Oshi from, I hope it's Beartooth. I hope I'm saying the name of the band right. But Oshi says, there's no way Hopkins isn't cut right. I've seen all I need to see. Smith puts it down the middle. Hey, I know Oshi plays the guitar / bass, but with takes like that, he may be trying to take our job because I'm right there with him, man. Give me Schmidt every day. I don't trust Hopkins.
Yeah, I don't even care how much guaranteed money D-Hop got like he got left on his contract. Bro got to go. I don't trust him at all when it comes to extra points, when it comes to field goals.
Nope.
I seen what I saw in training camp. It just seemed like every time this dude steps back and it's time for him to attempt to kick, that is like the biggest Russian roulette that's on this Cleveland Browns roster.
No, he's not hitting that.
No, I'm so done with. I could not be more done with him. D4L Josh says the chat wants you to say cut 12. Imagine being happy a Browns quarterback did bad. Amala Sound says Shedeur played well. The Whiskey Voyage says, man, let's call a spade a spade. They gave him receivers with DB numbers, O-line players. Wasn't even on the roster with a man next to them.
Receivers with DB numbers is wild. That means there's like a 32,
a 31,
39. 39. So,
by the way, I don't think he played well. I will say that I don't think he played well. Like Shedeur will probably tell you he didn't play well.
If Shedeur comes out and says I played well, I would be shocked. I think the fair value. I mean, we got to see. Listen, we got to see the all 22. It's really, really. I know it's gonna sound crazy because we do an instant reaction show every week, or we sit in the office on Monday going through the all 22 footage. How much differently does it look when you see who's open, who's not open, and what the offensive line is trying to accomplish, as opposed to the
very
TV
different. It's so much to the point I dropped my grade for Dillon Gabriel from the post game show to the actual show.
So
you learn a lot.
It's different.
Morning Coffee says 0 support from coaches. Trade 12. You have your QBs. How Njoku lifting him up. Not one quarterback, not one coach. Trade 12.
Hey, can I say that?
Yeah.
Let me say this. It's a competition. Like the same way we competitive, like Joe Flacco got reps finally, and he like, good, I look good. I'm that dude. Kenny Pickett over here, like, I hope they don't do nothing. Not saying that this is tongue in cheek, but like, I'm not saying he's saying this, but don't say G. Bush at it. But when you got Kenny Pickett who's trying to make a roster and his hamstring is bad and he ain't played, he not gonna be over there like jumping up for joy. Dillon Gabriel had 2 picks. He's like, listen, I had to hear all week how I had 2 turnovers. I got me a touchdown. I'm about to celebrate this touchdown. The way Deshaun Watson, like, I'm rich. I got more money than all y'all combined.
Hey, did you see Fo over there, boy? Hey, look, I'm telling you.
I'm rich. Super rich.
You can see $230 million from a far away, boy.
Man, he was like, look, he looked like money. I'm like, they ain't them some nice aviators. Them is gold.
Hey, the one thing about Deshaun Watson, man, he gonna be swagged out no matter where he goes, man.
Yeah. Listen.
Zadkiel Sheeler says, I hope Stefanski gets fired mid-season. When the Vikings and Pittsburgh show up, those dumb screens are not going to work. Beautifully Blessed says, what the heck was that exactly? Where was the coverage talk about playing with PE teachers? Puda Chandler says, why in the hell would they not let Sanders play in that 2-minute drill? There's something very wrong with that. That is part of his training. It has to be injury related.
I was wondering that. Did y'all wonder that a little bit?
It has to be he tweaked his oblique or something on one of those sacks. Because there's nothing to gain from Tyler Huntley doing that. Nothing. Like zero, zilch is not a nothing. So it had to be injury, right? Like, could you think of any other reason?
That's the only reason that's acceptable for me. If it's not injury and you just wanted to see Snoop throw the football, then that made absolutely no sense, because I don't care how bad it was for Shedeur Sanders. At least allow him to finish what he started. Go out there and operate the 2-minute drill and see what you can do. See if you can put some points on the board or whatever the case may be, however it turned out. I think we all can agree Tyler Huntley won't be on this roster. So if it was anything other than, that injury kind of being tweaked, then no, that made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
I was wondering.
Stefanski's talking right now. It's on my TV, but I don't have sound on, so I'm not quite sure what he's saying, but I'm sure he has said that. So I'll try to check on Twitter. Ant, would you mind checking Twitter to see if Mary Kay put out anything up from Stefanski and why Huntley came in at the end? Next super chat. Here we go again. 77 said, didn't Snoop have the 4s and 5s too? Which goes right along with Raptor Jr.'s tweet, who says they blocked for Huntley, not 12. Definitely a setup.
Listen, Snoop Huntley has been in this league. I've seen him be bad plenty of times. like, look, bro, he's a veteran. He moved down the field and he got it. So are you saying you're comfortable with Snoop Huntley balling? Because, I mean, we saw Snoop last year, dog. If not.
There's nothing to get from Snoop. Wade says, wow, Huntley led them on a game-winning drive under that same O-line. Evan419 said, Shedorians preach how great 12 is, how he's a franchise quarterback, but now he can only thrive in perfect situations. You guys are telling on yourself.
Thriving in perfect situations is not 4s and 5s, bro. What are you talking about? Like, there's no such thing as perfect situations. Like, that's never a thing. Like, that's a straw man argument. Continue.
Next one. Triz says, please remember Huntley completed 1 pass. Big Mike says they don't want Shedeur to succeed at all. The NFL is using the Browns to prove that Shedeur is incapable of playing in the NFL. Ivy says everybody thinks Shedeur is the worst quarterback on the team. Just cut him. It's simpler. Let another team value him. Beautifully Blessed says, get your moments off because coming for 12 won't get you any points. We don't think we know he's him. Big Weight ATL says, they blocked for Huntley, but not for Shedeur.
Hey, shout out to Ant. He just sent me a tweet. If anybody is on X right now, you can go check out Daniel Oyefusi's page. Shedeur Sanders just spoke about not coming back in for that 2-minute drop. Apparently, there was no injury, re-injury, or tweaks to an injury. He said he thought he was going back in. He said he was revving back up to go out there. Every quarterback dreams of being in that situation, and he didn't get the opportunity. So if Shedeur Sanders was not hurt, again, I don't care how it looked prior to then, Tyler Huntley is not going to be on this team. So not giving him the opportunity to go out there and finish out that game and run that 2-minute drive, based on what I just saw, that don't make sense. That's a head-scratching decision from Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, I don't understand that one bit at all. Not like that makes negative sense to me. Negative sense. Dewan says Shedeur looked like DTR bad today. He isn't ready yet. Dragon the Abandoner says, I'm a huge 12 fan. He'll bounce back, but let's be honest. He had plenty of time to at least throw it away. But the real story is 66 for defensive rookie of the year. Jonathan McGriff says, you win Browns. The rest of us will go home. Enjoy your season. We will see you in the playoffs. We will take our 12 jerseys and go home. Hashtag Baker Buck. Michael Grilly says, any chance we talk about the Browns winning the game? Hey, the Browns won today.
Yeah, they did.
19-17. Yeah. We will talk much more about the outcomes of games and games that actually matter. So when we get to the regular season and these games actually count, we will dive much more into the game itself and not just the quarterback battle. Coach Berry says, why didn't the Browns give Shedeur first-string reps? Hardly none compared to Flacco and Dillon. Tons of reps with the first string. They mad because Shedeur's controlling his brand that already made $14 million. Big Walt ATL said Shedeur had no time to complete the plays, but he'll blame himself. Corey Smeal says, just want to say we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you. D4L Josh said DB numbers and they're all white. Nate said if Dillon had 14 yards, you guys would kill him. Probably true. But
Yeah.
circumstances matter. It's a lot depends on how you get to the end goal.
Stefanski said that they didn't play good as a whole in that second half on offense. And as far as the last drive, he just wanted to get Snoop in there on that last drive.
I hate that answer.
That's
I
ridiculous.
objectively hate that answer.
Because look, man, it doesn't do, because there's a defeatist attitude about it. It's like you give the person the opportunity to finish the drive. It's 2 minutes left. You've been getting beat up. You get an opportunity to have a good coaching point and a good coaching moment to end on a positive note. And then you're like, oh, we need to see Snoop Huntley. You're like,
we don't.
What?
No, you don't. Not at all. For no reason whatsoever did you need to see Snoop in that game.
No. We got some more super chats. RCG says Shedeur can't show that type of demeanor on the field. Everybody is watching. He has to keep himself composed. Coach Berry said Dillon had all the time in the world to pass with first string, but they put in janitorial service units out there. Just pathetic. Beautifully Blessed says, we could care less about the mess. 12 ain't running from a challenge. Y'all can have several behind the garage seats.
Is that a new something?
I said what I said.
I said what I said. Thank you. I
got
heard that. Bill Rodewald says, I think they promised Huntley reps when they needed him. Samaral says, in a complete hypothetical, if Joe and Dillon go down in the first 2 weeks, how many games do you think Sanders could win?
Does he get any reps that week?
Yeah. He could win. Listen,
I mean,
nobody should. No, here, let me make something very clear.
I don't know.
Nobody should write off Shedeur Sanders because of today. It's a preseason game. There have been good quarterbacks that have banned preseason games. There have been bad quarterbacks that have looked incredible in the preseason. I look no further than DTR, guys. DTR looked incredible in the preseason. It didn't translate to the NFL one bit.
I
It's
don't.
one preseason game. It's not the end of the world.
When he balled in the one preseason game, nobody anointed him. He still was fourth on the depth chart, right?
Exactly. So let's just keep it all in context. We still got like 15 more. So just let me fire these through because they keep coming in. We love you guys, but we're up to 53 now. So let me fly through these. Marcel Brown says, looking at the totality of the preseason, DG plays better in the structure of the offense. Sanders does not. He's been struggling with that first window read, even in his first game. DG plays with better pace. Binaka says, you're right. Sabotage is part of the game. Stefanski did this on purpose. They were told not to block. They didn't want the field goal positive stat in the record. Gage, Triz says Gage came back in during the 2-minute drill. Rogers 12 I says 5'9" against 6'1", and you can't bootleg every play, and going under center will be a struggle for him, but SS did look bad today. Receivers didn't help him either. D-Time says, damn.
That was fair.
Yeah. D-Time says, damn, very bad tape out on Shedeur. Hurts for trades. Music with a Twist by EVH says, Dillon had all day to throw, call his mom, buy groceries, create content on TikTok, scratch his back with simple plays and max protection. That second ball Shedeur touched. The second the ball touched Shedeur's hand, he was already under pressure. Stop it. Keeping Up with the Sanders family says, chill out, people. Shedeur will be a starter on Sundays. Carrie Smeal says, KS answers post-game. Mighty Mulatto says, Sanders' comfort in the pocket wasn't good absent a run game. Time to put work in, struggle, and overcome. James Meyer says, something had to have happened on the sideline for Sanders not to go back in. Creative Juice says, seeing Baker on National Popeyes ads kind of hurts. And last but not least, our final super chat, Deanna Curtis Brown says, modern day Joseph, keep your head up, young prince. See you, auntie. Much love. Speaking of much love to all 5,000 of y'all that tuned in for the post-game show. We are back Monday with a normal UCSS 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button so you can get all the latest UCSS content to your phone as soon as it comes out. For Earl of Pearl, for G. Bush, I'm Mikey McNuggets, and the Browns just finished the preseason 3-0. Peace.
Deuces!